My mind is like an internet browser. I have 19 tabs, 3 of them are frozen, and I don't know where the music is coming from.
Don't mess with me, I'm a big kid now and I'm very scary. That was a lie, I'm a 5-year-old now, where's my stuffies?
Trans boy in the skirt, baby, what you gonna do? Trans boy in the skirt, baby, what you gonna do? Trans boy in the skirt, baby, what you gonna do? You ain't gonna do cause you know it won't hurt.
The internet has birthed some incredibly bizarre subcultures, but few things are quite as deeply unsettling as an individual weaponizing vulnerable communities for personal, self-indulgent gain. That is the hidden reality behind Skylar Shears, an internet personality who has built a reputation as one of the most controversial figures you will ever find in the mental health subculture of TikTok. In the virtual community of social media, users can escape reality, hide behind rare psychological conditions, and find a fiercely protective audience. But for a 26-year-old trans creator known as Skylar Shears, operating the account Care Bears Collective, the anonymity of the internet was not just a place for self-expression. It became a tool for systematic manipulation, unverified medical claims, and extreme personal degradation. This is a picture of her profile where they claim to have been diagnosed with the condition in 2023. This is not just a creator who plays around with childish aesthetics. This is someone who used those aesthetics under the disguise of medical alters in order to gain attention and followers. This is the timeline of one of the most unfortunate and toxic figures in the history of TikTok's mental health community. Before we get into the chaos, it helps to understand who exactly Skylar Shears is, because on the surface, this is a pretty unremarkable story about a young person trying to find their identity online.
I'm mommy baby.
You're my baby?
Yes. And then
What?
From the outside, the account looked like many others in the TikTok mental health space. Bright colors, emotional vulnerability, and a creator willing to let their audience into the messy parts of their life. For those who do not know, DID, or dissociative identity disorder, is a rare and serious mental health condition where a person has 2 or more distinct personalities that each form their own behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. According to clinical definitions, the disorder almost always develops in response to severe childhood trauma, which means it is not something a person casually stumbles into or wakes up with one morning. Skylar claimed to have distinct alters living inside their system: Angel, Noah, V, Dino, Haley, Jesse, and so on. Each has their own personality traits and behaviors that they would demonstrate on camera.
Someone once said, if you love somebody, let them go. If they come back, it was meant to be. But if they don't come back, it's not meant to be.
On paper, someone sharing a DID journey sounds like a wholesome, even brave thing to do, especially given how stigmatized mental health still is in many communities. And that sympathetic framing is exactly what made Skylar's account appealing to the audience that found them, because people who struggle with mental health issues actively look for creators who make them feel less alone.
Don't mess with me, I'm a big kid now and I'm very scary. That was a lie, I'm a 5-year-old now, where's my stuffies?
But here's where things started to unravel, because the more you watched Skylar's content, the less it looked like an honest mental health journey, and the more it looked like an elaborate performance built around a very specific and a very concerning set of personal fantasies. And that gap between what Skylar claimed to be doing and what their content actually showed is the entire story here. She posts some personal fetishes and fantasies on her page, claiming it's part of their alters. Skylar did not just casually mention having DID, they built their entire TikTok identity around it, using the condition as the foundation for almost every piece of content they posted. The Care Bears Collective account was styled as a window into what life looks like when multiple personalities share one body, and Skylar leaned into that framing hard. In one of their videos, they had talked about the symptoms of DID and how it manifests in people. They would switch between their alters on camera, each one supposedly taking over their body at different times, and document those moments as proof of their condition. The most frequently featured alter was one called Dino, described as a little, which is a term used in DID communities to describe an alter personality that presents as a child. In their videos as Dino, Skylar would speak in a slow, baby-like voice, make childlike gestures, use a pacifier on camera as a comfort object for the alter, and dance to baby songs.
baby shark do 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 baby shark do 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 baby shark do 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 baby shark. Boo!
On paper, alters presenting as children is a documented phenomenon in real DID cases, and in a vacuum, Skylar showing this alter could be understood as part of an authentic mental health disclosure. But Skylar did not keep it in a vacuum. They added a layer to it that immediately raised red flags for anyone paying even minimal attention. Alongside the Dino persona, Skylar also posted audio content where they spoke in a soft, hushed, almost parental voice to an unnamed little one, saying things like, "Did you have a bad day today? Do you want a stuffy? Just know I love you."
Did you have a bad day today? Do you want a stuffy? Which one? Mr. Duck or Sir Rainbow? Sir Rainbow? Here you go. Okay. What about a passy? Do you like a passy?
And it did not stop there, because some of those audio clips escalated further with lines like, "Would you lay with Daddy to kiss it better?" and "Daddy, I'm scared, please cuddle with me." These were not ambiguous lines. They were the kind of audio that reads entirely differently depending on who is listening and what they are expecting to hear. The fact that they were available without any content warnings made them especially accessible to younger viewers. For a lot of viewers encountering this content for the first time, that combination of a grown adult faking a child alter, while also producing baby voice audio for an unseen little one, felt deeply off. Skylar's contents have become very cringe with her introducing new alters every passing day, which makes one wonder just how many alters are there, and how do they discover them? Skylar also claims they have an alter whose name she doesn't know yet, and the fact that all of this was being posted freely on TikTok, a platform with a massive population of actual, made the discomfort around Skylar's content feel much harder to dismiss. Here's where the plot thickens, because Skylar's content existed right at the crossroads of two very different online communities, and their behavior in both became a serious problem. On one side, there is the DID community, where people share their genuine experiences with the disorder and support each other through it. And on the other side, there is the age regression community, a group of adults who for various personal reasons find comfort in childlike behaviors. Age regression itself is a complex and debated topic, but at its most basic, it refers to adults who engage in childlike activities such as using pacifiers, wearing onesies, or watching cartoons, often as a coping mechanism for stress or trauma. Within the age regression community, there's already significant ongoing debate about the line between regression as a therapeutic or comfort practice and regression that is tied to something more explicitly adult. Skylar straddled both communities without clearly belonging to either one, and members of both groups started calling them out for it. The turning point came when Skylar posted a video addressing the criticism directly, saying, "I am not an age regression account. I participate in the community and have for the last 7 years. If you do not approve of that, then please unfollow me."
I am not an age regression account. I participate in the community and have for the last 7 years. If you do not approve of that, then please unfollow me.
Skylar then followed that video with another post explaining how they could still be a little, and that it is not weird to have fantasies attached, which immediately set off alarms in communities already watching them closely. In other words, Dino was not just an uncontrolled alter personality with taking over Skylar's body. It was, at least in part, a personal choice that Skylar was then dressing up in DID language to make it seem more legitimate. The problem with that statement is what it actually confirmed. Skylar was admitting that the childlike content did not purely come from their DID alters, but from a personal 7-year participation in the age regression community as a lifestyle choice. Then days later, in a move that surprised almost nobody, Skylar backpedaled just a few days later, claiming their alters had nothing to do with their personal fantasies, completely contradicting what they had just said. The back and forth was dizzying, and it perfectly illustrated the problem with Skylar's entire content strategy. They wanted the authenticity of a DID diagnosis without the scrutiny, and the freedom of the age regression community without the accountability. But the backpedaling did not stop the shopping hauls, which continued with Skylar purchasing Blue's Clues, cups, rattles, dinosaur toys, bath colors, and a plus-size onesie, all while announcing each item with childlike excitement on camera. At this point, the DID framing had basically dissolved, and what was left was a grown adult openly performing a child persona for a TikTok audience that included a significant number of actual children. If there was one thing that crystallized exactly what people were concerned about with Skylar's content, it was their affiliation with an online store called Dark Fairy Tale Desires. Skylar was an affiliate for this boutique, meaning they actively promoted the shop to their followers and earned a commission from sales made through their personal discount code. The store specialized in items described as being for adults who want to roleplay as children, selling things like leashes, collars, sippy cups, and custom bedazzled pacifiers. The name alone, combining dark and desires in the same title, was a fairly obvious signal that this was not a children's toy store, and it did not take long for viewers to look it up and confirm exactly what kind of boutique it was. Among the items Skylar personally ordered from the store was a bedazzled pacifier with a small dinosaur charm on it, which they then connected directly to their dino altar on camera. Skylar even tied the store purchase back to their content explicitly, showing the Dino Binky on screen during one of their altar videos, making the connection between their sponsored content and their DID persona completely visible. The problem here is not that an adult is buying items for themselves. People can spend their money however they choose. The problem is that Skylar was packaging adult fetish roleplay products as DID content and directing that content toward a TikTok audience that had no way of knowing the difference. For the people watching Skylar's videos, many of whom were drawn in by the mental health framing, the Dark Fairy Tale Desires sponsorship made it suddenly clear that the baby altars and the pacifiers were not just innocent mental health content. They were fantasies and fetishes as evidenced in the audio you're about to hear.
Daddy, my tummy hurts. Can you kiss it better for me? Daddy, can you cuddle with me? I don't feel well. Please hold me. I miss you.
And this was all being broadcast from an account that had no age restrictions, no content warnings, and was pinned to the top of a TikTok profile where children could access it in seconds. The thing that made this especially uncomfortable is that the connection between the sponsor and the altar persona was not accidental. Skylar drew that line themselves on camera, making it impossible to argue the two are unrelated. They sometimes posted content on role-playing as a child to their daddy. One of the most defining moments in Skylar's online history came not from a scandal, but from their own mouth, in a video that they posted themselves and that left very little room for interpretation. After months of building an entire identity around having DID, Skylar admitted on camera that they had never actually been formally diagnosed with the condition. In the video, Skylar said, "Yes, I might be undiagnosed, but that does not mean I'm not in the process of being diagnosed. Just because I'm not officially diagnosed does not mean I'm not going through all the treatments and all the tests and all that kind of stuff."
I might be undiagnosed, but that does not mean I am not in the process of being diagnosed. Just because I'm not officially diagnosed doesn't mean I'm not going through all the treatments and all the tests and all that kind of stuff. I am working my way towards it. So honestly, you guys have no place to say anything, because you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know the process I'm going through. So, if you don't know anything, then don't say anything. Thank you.
They followed it up with a second video that was clearly aimed at community members who had been calling them out, saying,
I've been trying for a very long time. Nobody listens. You're still valid. You still matter. No matter how many people say otherwise. No matter what other people think. You're valid. You are you for a reason. And nobody can say, oh, since you're not diagnosed, this just goes away. It doesn't. Nothing just goes away, even if you're undiagnosed. It could take years to be diagnosed, or you might not even get diagnosed.
To be fair, navigating a diagnosis for a complex mental health condition can take years, and there are real systemic barriers to getting assessed, including cost, access, and the old-fashioned doctors who dismiss patients. And in isolation, that is a fair point worth making. The mental health system does fail a lot of people, and dismissing every undiagnosed person as a faker would be wrong. But the issue for most people watching was not the diagnosis gap itself. It was that Skylar had been creating a large volume of content presenting themselves as someone actively living with DID, switching alters on camera, and building a whole community identity around it, all without any confirmation that the condition existed. And the timing of the confession mattered too, because it came only after community members had already started loudly pushing back on the DID content, which made it look less like a forthcoming disclosure and more like damage control. Skylar ended the video with a firm, "If you do not know anything, do not say anything," which, as the YouTuber covering the story pointed out, applies just as much to claiming a serious disorder without evidence.
So, if you don't know anything, then don't say anything. Thank you.
This was the crack in the dam, because once it was out there that Skylar had no diagnosis backing their entire persona, everything else they had done started looking very different and very deliberately constructed. Even setting aside the confession, many people who watched Skylar's DID content closely pointed out that the alter switches themselves were not particularly convincing.
Can I talk to Ollie? I am Ollie. And so then, who am I talking to? Pangy. But you said you were Ollie. We're all lolly.
In a notable clip, Skylar set up a camera and explained they were going to try to trigger a switch to their Dino Alter on purpose, placing Baby Shark Adventures on the TV and holding the Alter's pacifier as the trigger items.
And trying to catch the switch on camera. Just to kind of see what happens, I guess. So I have put on Baby Shark Adventures on Netflix, and I have his passy. He just came.
What followed was a slow, theatrical transition, where Skylar looked around the room, seemed confused about the camera, and quietly said, "Why am I on camera? I thought I was just watching Baby Shark."
Why am I on camera? I thought I was just watching Baby Shark.
For context, real DID episodes are described by clinicians and patients alike as jarring, often disorienting experiences, not neatly timed performances that happen precisely when the camera is already rolling and a specific comfort object has been placed within reach. People who have watched their content made the same observation. The acting was poor, and the staged quality of the transitions made it hard to take the diagnosis seriously, regardless of what the paperwork might eventually say. Beyond the quality of the performance, there was another issue. Skylar was actively doing this in 2020 and 2021, the exact window when a massive wave of TikTok creators were widely accused of faking DID for views. During that period, DID became essentially viral on TikTok, with dozens of accounts claiming to have the condition and posting alter switch content that the algorithm rewarded heavily. The most notable accounts who claimed to have DID were Dissocia DID, Chloe, and the Wonderland system. They were heavily criticized by members of the DID community and accused of exaggerating the condition for content. People who actually live with DID were furious about the trend, arguing loudly that content creators faking a severe trauma disorder for clicks was both harmful to real sufferers and deeply embarrassing to the broader mental health community. "This is so disgusting. My dad was diagnosed with DID back when it was still called multiple personality disorder. There are some ways to tell when a person switches, but the person themselves doesn't always realize they have gaps in their memory as if they were asleep." To be fair, I agree with what they said. Skylar entered this already skeptical and frustrated community and proceeded to hit every single checkbox that critics had identified as markers of fake DID content: childlike alters, theatrical switches, no diagnosis, and a side hustle involving adult novelty items. That checklist alone would have been enough to draw criticism, but Skylar's specific presentation, the pacifiers, the baby voice, the adult store affiliation, pushed it into territory that felt genuinely alarming rather than just annoying. Now here's the part of the story that moved things from weird and cringy to something that people found genuinely troubling, and it came in the form of Skylar's online community spaces. Throughout their time on TikTok, Skylar advertised and hosted multiple Discord servers and group chats, marketing them as safe spaces for other people who identified as systems, meaning people who also claimed to have DID. In one video, Skylar, through her alter angel, said directly, "Just wanted to know who wants to join a system group chat. Drop it in the comments or private message if you want to join a group chat for all systems."
Hey everyone, Angel here. Just wanted to know who wants to join a system group chat. Drop it in the comments or private message if you want to join a group chat for all systems. Bye guys.
The issue is the age floor as Skylar set for these spaces, because in many of them the minimum age to join was set as low as 13 years old, and in some cases there was no age verification at all. For anyone paying attention to the rest of Skylar's content, the combination of an adult who produces baby fetish sponsored content, fakes a child alter persona, and then creates online spaces with minimal age barriers for should have been alarming. Evidence from the videos themselves showed that children were in fact commenting on and engaging with Skylar's content, with at least one user visible in a clip whose stated age indicated they were a at the time the video was recorded. Skylar advertised these group spaces in roughly 20 to 30 different posts across their TikTok page, with at least one kept pinned to the top of their profile for easy access. Hosting online spaces with low age minimums is not inherently illegal, but when the host of those spaces is an adult who produces content blending childlike aesthetics with adult themes, and does so under a fake mental health diagnosis, the decision to allow into those spaces is at minimum deeply irresponsible. This is important to say clearly. The documented concern here is not an allegation of criminal behavior. It is the observable fact that Skylar, a creator already under scrutiny for blurring the line between childlike aesthetics and adult content, was actively inviting into their personal online spaces because of the low age restrictions. And from a responsibility standpoint, that decision lands entirely on Skylar, because they were the adult, they were the creator, and they built those spaces knowing exactly what their content was. This was the moment the criticism around Skylar stopped being about bad acting or cringy content and started becoming a real conversation about the kind of environment they were creating for young, vulnerable people. While all of this was playing out online, Skylar was working a day job at Walmart, employed as a people greeter and a cleaner, and bringing that world directly into their content in ways that, at this point in the story, probably should not surprise anyone. Skylar posted a video from what appeared to be during or shortly after a shift, explaining what it was like to work at Walmart as a system, meaning as someone with multiple personalities living in one body. On that particular day, the item brought home was a Blue's Clues Big Boy straw cup purchased because the Dino Alter reportedly wanted it for $14.
Working 2 jobs within Walmart. We work as a people greeter and a cleaner in Walmart. So, we're in the store all around, every time, every day. So, having littles within the system, every time we go past any of the toy section or anything that has any stuff, I guess, they're just like, ooh, look at that, what's that? So, we come home with at least 1 to 2 items.
What that video captured, intentionally or not, was the way Skylar had allowed the alter persona to bleed seamlessly into every aspect of their actual daily life, including a place of employment where they interacted with the public. And the shopping halls did not stay at Walmart. Skylar made multiple videos documenting large purchases of children's items, including a haul that featured a big dog bed, Blue's Clues merchandise, a dino toy, a rattle, bath colors, a squeaky toy, a 4-candle birthday cake, and a plus-sized onesie. On its own, an adult buying novelty items is not a story, but at this point in Skylar's timeline, these hauls were happening on a public platform where the DID framing was already in question, the Dark Fairy Tale Desires affiliation was already known, and the Discord servers were already open to. The shopping content did not read as charming or eccentric. It read as one more piece of a pattern that was becoming harder and harder to explain away with any single innocent interpretation. There's a specific kind of cognitive dissonance that comes with watching someone insist their baby alter is a legitimate medical experience, while simultaneously posting a shopping haul of dinosaur rattles and children's party cake candles purchased during a Walmart shift. The DID community and the broader TikTok mental health space had been watching Skylar's content for a while, before they decided to collectively and loudly push back, but when they did, the reaction was severe. Multiple people who had watched Skylar's content came forward describing it as cringy, creepy, and predatory, with some going as far as saying, Skylar should never have been given a platform in the first place. The problem with the internet is it gives everyone a voice and a platform to showcase their lives, but not everyone should have one. This is one such person. For people who actually live with DID, the issue was straightforward. Someone faking a serious, trauma-based condition for follower counts actively harms the people who genuinely suffer from it, because it makes the entire disorder look like a performance. People who fake mental disorders confuse me so badly, because a lot of the times the ones they fake or claim to have to my knowledge are not fun and quirky. They can be mentally and physically exhausting. I'm not diagnosed with anything, but I do struggle with my mental health pretty severely, and I would never claim to have something I don't know for a 100% fact that I have. It's very frustrating to see. And for people in the age regression community, Skylar's open admission that the baby persona was partly tied to personal fantasy, rather than just a DID alter, violated one of the community's most important norms, keeping that kind of content clearly separated from anything involving. The YouTube community also weighed in, with multiple creators independently analyzing Skylar's videos and arriving at the same conclusion. The content was not just weird, it was potentially harmful to the young and vulnerable audience that TikTok's algorithm had handed them. What made all of this worse is that Skylar's audience was never particularly large. Most of their videos did not reach even 1,000 views, which actually made the situation more dangerous, not less, because a small niche audience means less scrutiny and more opportunity to operate without interference. A small protective community is often exactly the environment in which the kind of content Skylar was producing thrives, because the core audience is already invested in believing the creator and already primed to defend them from outside criticism. The criticism eventually became loud enough that Skylar could not simply ignore it, and that is when the whitewashing campaign began. As the backlash grew louder and the scrutiny intensified, Skylar made a pivot that will be familiar to anyone who has followed controversial creators online. They attempted a full rebranding. The new version of Skylar was stable, reformed, and reflective. The content shifted away from alter performances and pacifier hauls toward what felt like a very deliberate display of personal responsibility. Skylar started a new job at Mary Brown's Chicken, a Canadian fast food chain, and made a video announcing the update alongside news about starting an anger management program and returning to their medication after a period of not taking it. In the video, Skylar said, "On the one hand, starting therapy and taking medication is genuinely positive, and it would be unfair to mock someone for trying to get their life in order, regardless of what they did before. But when you zoom out and look at the timing, these updates came right on the heels of the most intense public criticism Skylar had ever faced, which makes it very hard to separate genuine growth from strategic image management." Skylar also posted a video addressing the critics with a new year, new me framing, saying, "This is a new year. This is a new me. I am moving forward this year. I am not going backwards. Any drama, any misunderstandings from the past, it is in the past. We are adults. We move on." But more importantly, the speech itself was a classic move. Reframe your past behavior as drama and misunderstandings, rather than actions with real consequences. Declare a fresh start and hope the audience goes along with the reset. The problem is that the digital trail does not vanish just because someone declares it does. The videos were still up. The Discord server invitations were still documented. The Dark Fairy Tale Desires affiliation was still on record. And Skylar, even in the middle of this reformed person narrative, was still posting DID system update videos without any confirmed diagnosis to anchor them, meaning the core issue that had driven all the criticism had not actually been addressed. Rebranding is only as believable as the change behind it, and in Skylar's case, the content itself told a different story than the speeches did. As of the time these expos were made, Skylar was still posting on TikTok, still making system update videos, and still maintaining the DID persona despite the lack of any confirmed diagnosis. The follower count never grew into anything significant, and the views on most videos remained low, which effectively kept Skylar in a limbo state, too small to attract serious platform enforcement, but large enough to maintain a community of followers still invested in the persona. Skylar continued to post alter videos, system updates, and commentary on their daily life, including work updates and relationship status changes, none of which addressed the core criticisms that had been leveled at them. The anger management and medication updates from the reformed person period quietly faded from the content, replaced by the same DID framing and childlike aesthetic content that had caused the problems in the first place. And perhaps the most telling detail of where Skylar ended up is that even after multiple public exposés, after community pushback from both the DID and age regression communities, after all the documented evidence was compiled and circulated, the Care Bears collective account just kept going. That staying power is not a testament to Skylar's authenticity or resilience. It is a testament to how hard it is to hold a creator accountable on a platform that never had the appetite to intervene. The most honest summary of where Skylar ended up is this: they are still performing. The audience is just smaller now, and the people still watching are mostly there to see what happens next. And that is the final note on the Skylar Shears story. Not that someone got exposed and faced consequences, but that after all of it, very little actually changed. From building more than 800,000 followers in a span of a few months and having a dedicated fan base on TikTok, to then being accused of dozens of extremely disturbing things, Gerbert the Egg is one of the most disturbing TikTokers to ever emerge on the platform. Gerbert started posting on TikTok in early 2025, and in only 5 months, he gained more than 800,000 followers. However, behind all this success, there was a very different person. Gerbert has been accused of the most heinous things, with the least shocking one being a girl when he was in high school. And the worst part was that he did this while he already had a girlfriend. Then when one of his friends informed Gerbert's girlfriend about what had happened, he became so angry that he tried to his friend at school. Gerbert started posting on TikTok in early 2025, and his videos mainly consisted of him ranting about random things, usually trending topics online, where he would speed up his videos and change his voice, a video style that was extremely similar to another famous TikToker by the name of the Angry Asian. Gerbert's video style was so similar to the Angry Asians that people were even mistaking Gerbert for him.
Stop comparing me to the Angry Asian. I am not the Angry Asian. I understand that we look alike and we have the same haircut right now, but I'm not the Angry Asian. He's way different than I am. We're not the same person. He's Asian. I'm not Asian, right? Another thing that people have compared me to is Lacey from FaZe, which is, again, crazy. Somebody called me Lil Cumston, which is the guy that rips off his shirt in the middle of Walmart. Guys, I'm Gerbert. I'm none of these people. I'm not a copy and paste of the Angry Asian. I promise. I get inspiration from him, yes, but that's not all I am. I'm a completely different entity, guys. Trust me, I'm different.
Gerbert was posting a huge amount of content every day from the get-go, and he was also getting a lot of traction and growing very rapidly. But the same can't be said for the factual accuracy of the information he talked about. Gerbert usually lied or didn't do much research before posting his videos. One such example was his videos on another infamous lolco, Daniel Larson. Daniel had been in jail since 2024 for some very serious allegations. Despite this, however, Gerbert made a video intentionally lying about Daniel being out of prison in a desperate attempt to boost his engagement, which it did, as he garnered more than 400,000 100,000 views on this video alone, 20 times more than he was getting on average at that point. Besides this being an outright lie and a very easy thing to disprove given Daniel's popularity, it would have taken only one Google search to know that Daniel was in jail. There were hundreds of comments under this video fact-checking Gerbert and telling him he was spreading lies, but he completely ignored them and didn't even make a response video until a few weeks later. While Gerbert's action of lying about Daniel was already bad enough, his take on Daniel's behavior was even worse. Gerbert believed that Daniel was not guilty of anything and was a very pure person with no faults at all, which is a very disgusting thing to say, given that Daniel had been caught doing multiple heinous things, ranging from predatory behavior to assaulting people. Instead of learning from his mistakes and researching properly before posting his videos, Gerbert only continued posting videos with little to no effort, which led to another case of misinformation, but this time it was much more than just misinformation. Around July 2025, an AI-generated meme video called "If Kids Ran the Airport" started going viral after a random account posted it. The original idea was what it would be like if airports were run by kids instead of professional adults, and people started creating a fantasy world around what this airport would look like. At first it looked harmless and was even very entertaining to many. However, it would later be revealed that the creator of this video was a predator, and his intention was to share Telegram links where people distributed extremely disturbing material, mainly child sexual abuse material. However, Gerbert, who hadn't done any kind of research on this topic, hopped on the trend and made a video about it.
So I just made my "If Kids Ran the Airport" video. Come to find out, I get texted by 2 people. The creator of that audio and meme is actually a PDF file. Yeah, so apparently the whole creation of that was to spread a Telegram link that would allow you to purchase a certain type of pizza. I would not like to say that because that is sickening shit there. I mean, these people are disgusting. But what the f***? Like, I'm actually so, confused right now. Because I made my video, and then all of a sudden I get a text online, and they're like, "Hey, you might want to know about the whole situation going on." I'm sorry, I didn't realize that this harmless little meme was actually linking to a pizza ring of sorts. Yo, can we get Gideon on this? Yo, Gideon, can we... Somebody get Gideon on this, please. Please and thank you. Because what the fuck? What, dude, I'm struggling to even find the words because what the fuck? I thought this was just a harmless little audio. I didn't realize that it had, horrible behind it. This might be cooked, guys. I don't know what can we do something about this?
And even after finding out about it, Gerbert wouldn't delete his video and instead left it on his channel, where it went on to receive more than 2.5 million views. Although Gerbert's videos lacked basic research and credibility at times, his TikTok account grew much bigger within just a few months, to the point that by July 2025, merely 4 months after he started posting, he had more than 800,000 followers and a devoted fan base that flooded his comment sections with comments like these. Not only that, but Gerbert was also landing collaborations with big TikTokers like the Angry Asian, who featured his videos multiple times on his channel, among many others. However, all of this would come crumbling down around July 2025, once allegations from Gerbert's past started surfacing online. Around October of 2021, Gerbert would approach a woman named Angel during her freshman year in high school, and Gerbert's intention was so disgusting from the get-go. Angel had a goth style, and Gerbert fetishized her based on her goth style from the outset, and made her uncomfortable through behavior she describes as weird and excessively touchy. After Gerbert and Angel became friends, Gerbert's fixation on Angel would only grow bigger to the point he was constantly sexualizing her. And even when they walk around with one of Angel's friend and see a clothes that is weird, he would tell her that it would look amazing on her and imagine her in that clothes and sexualize her. Angel said, "My friend Mila was also around us, and she would see Hunter's touch on me. One time me and Hunter went to Ross and like me, and her were joking about this one lingerie thing, and then Hunter started to chime in and said how bad he wanted to see me wear it and how good I would look in it. Milo also saw Hunter grab me and kiss me." Despite this, however, Gerbert and Angel's relationship continued to grow, but not long afterward, Gerbert would do something so bad that it would lead to the end of their relationship, and even result in Angel reporting it to her high school. Gerbert asked Angel to have sex in a Walmart bathroom, and Angel initially agreed, thinking it would be an exciting experience. However, she later changed her mind and refused to go through with it. This angered Gerbert, who kept pressuring her to meet him in the Walmart bathroom and then started threatening her by saying he would tell her friends about what they had done so far. Angel's accusations against Gerbert didn't really have a way to be proven since it was only her side of the story. And given that Gerbert was a well-established TikToker with over 800,000 followers, she had to provide further evidence that the two at least knew each other, which she did. She provided a photo of herself and Gerbert together as evidence. Furthermore, Gerbert would make a statement proving that he did date Angel before. However, in classic Gerbert fashion, he denied all the allegations and wrongdoing. Instead, he accused Angel of trying to smear his name with false accusations. However, one thing doesn't really add up. After accusing Angel of making up allegations against him, Gerbert would then text Angel privately and basically try to become friends with her again, which she respectfully declined in the DMs. Not only that, but Gerbert was generally trying to stay on good terms with Angel, which further solidifies the allegations against him. Gerbert would later bring up this private DM in which he repeatedly attempted to befriend Angel, using it to argue that she was not accusing him of anything. Angel, however, responded by clarifying, "I never said he didn't do anything. He kept insisting he didn't and kept asking if we were cool. I said we were cool just to get him to stop. Then I blocked him because he kept trying to be friendly afterward, and my boyfriend wasn't okay with it." But all of this is just the tip of the Gerber iceberg, as there are far more disturbing things he has done. In March of 2022, Gerbert would match with a girl on a dating app called Wiz, which would have been harmless if the girl he was trying to hook up with wasn't a literal 13 years old. Not only that, but Gerbert would invite her to his house and repeatedly ask to suck her breast, and then when she refused to let him do that, he would then bite her breast and SA her. "Yes, I am still mad that you said me. I said no the first time, literally, and I didn't feel affectionate cuddling and sexual-wise at the moment, and you literally got mad and ignored me by going on your phone and making me feel bad. You then literally begged to suck my boobs when I didn't want to. You kept on asking and asking, and then you bit it." Gerbert would then acknowledge that he did do these things and even apologize to her in their DMs. However, when these accusations were revealed online, he completely denied everything by claiming that the account wasn't even his. The name of the account he used in these DMs was Sad Beats. Despite this, however, he would later contradict himself by admitting that he did own the account, and then denying that the messages were real, claiming that people had created fake screenshots to make it look like him, and that he had never said those things to a 13-year-old. When a person asked him to provide proof in his comment section that the account wasn't his, Gerbert replied, "What do you want me to show? I admit I did have a Sad Beats account. However, the screenshots of me saying the N-word and a girl are fake." And this only intensified the backlash Gerbert was already receiving from the internet, eventually leading him to admit that he had met a 13-year-old on a dating app, though he denied doing anything sexual to her. However, unfortunately for Gerbert, there was more evidence suggesting otherwise. Another screenshot of his DMs with one of his friends was leaked, showing him admitting that he had apologized to the girl regarding the SA allegations. And if this wasn't bad enough already, another screenshot showed Gerbert admitting to taking advantage of the girl, describing her as a dumb 7th grader, who also did drugs. After this, screenshots involving Gerbert and the 13-year-old started circulating around Gerbert's high school, adding to the already bad reputation he had. However, things would get even worse. A random student contacted Gerbert about these accusations, and in classic Gerbert fashion, he responded by threatening the student, saying he is going to assault her next, and the victim took the threat very seriously, reporting it to the school, which ultimately led to Gerbert's expulsion. But even after this, Gerbert hadn't learned his lesson, and continued with his terrible behavior. While all of this was happening, Gerbert had a girlfriend who didn't know that he was cheating on her, and one of his friends, Aaron, revealed this to her. Afterward, Gerbert became furious and started threatening Aaron, saying that he was going to beat him up if he ever saw him again. "You better hope I don't catch you then, because if you're not gonna fight me, I'm not giving you a chance."
What the f***? It smells like f***.
But this is not the only time Gerbert was caught cheating. Around March of 2022, Gerbert was cheating on his then-girlfriend with another girl named Cam, which he himself later admitted. Cam would then come forward, accusing Gerbert of many heinous crimes. She said from the beginning Gerbert manipulated her using love bombing and sometimes coercions to lure her in to be his romantic and sexual partner, while he simultaneously had another girlfriend. Hunter cheated on his girlfriend with me originally for but he ended up love bombing me and manipulating me and got me to get extremely emotionally attached and then tried to drop me. The situation reportedly escalated when Gerbert allegedly threatened Cam and brought materials with the purported intent to cause her harm, following his decision to end the relationship. Cam contends that in response to this perceived threat, she physically attacked Hunter in self-defense, resulting in the breaking of his glasses. Hunter, on the other hand, maintains that he was merely attempting to end the relationship when Cam him. And while all of this is alleged, one thing it is proven to be true: Cam has assaulted Gerbert and has broken his glasses, resulting in a no-contact order by the police, and then a fine on Cam's family to pay for Gerbert's glasses. Cam also has alleged that Gerbert has caused her serious psychological damages by her life, and even posted a screenshot of their interactions on Discord. Gerbert texted Cam saying, "I miss you, Cammy. I yearn to cuddle you in my arms. I want to just feel every part of you. I want to test your blood and mix it with mine. I want to spoon your body next to mine. I want to play with your and make it string songs of lust and love. And I want to tempt you in so many ways like a devil offering you gold. I want you all to myself." This is not only disturbing, but rather so twisted, because he is not directly threatening, but rather twisting his intent to harm Cam inside love, disguising as if all this is just romance on a whole new level. While Gerbert has already admitted he cheated on his girlfriend with Cam, He completely denied having malicious intents and doing anything negative to Cam at all. He also denied the oddball account being his multiple times. However, one of his closest friends on TikTok, named the Angry Asian, would come forward in an interview and prove that the oddball account is actually Gerbert's account, and he was able to know that because Gerbert himself has admitted it to him on a private call.
He still to this day denies that he owns the oddball Instagram account. He admitted to me on call that he owned it. Like, he straight up owned it.
Adding further proof to Cam's claims, Gerbert had a history of making threats and being violent whenever a woman rejected him, and there were dozens of girls coming forward accusing him of being hostile towards them, which makes Cam's allegations even more believable. On top of everything, Gerbert has followed Cam to her house without her consent. Gerbert has done all of these things over the course of years and under different social media handles, which made it difficult to track every single one of them. However, a group of guys he used to hang out with called the Y Squad would prepare more than 100 pages of documenting every single allegation with proof. And this went viral on TikTok, to the point every single comment on Gerbert's video was mentioning it, and dozens of entire accounts were being dedicated to document this. And in this document, Gerbert's actual name is listed as Hunter Montez. However, Gerbert would deny this completely. He claims that his real name is Gerbert Johann and not Hunter Montez. And so all the allegations documented in this document aren't about him, but rather somebody else that looks just like him.
Alright guys, so I'm going to be addressing the Gerbert allegations, which is crazy that I even have to do this. Number one, my name is not Hunter. My name is Gerbert. Literally, my name is Gerbert. Literally, ask anybody, my name is Gerbert. Alright, I was born with this name. That's my name.
Gerbert would even go as far as saying that he didn't go to the high school that was mentioned in the documents, which was in Las Vegas, Nevada, but rather he lives in California and went to high school there and never been to Vegas before.
Two, I have, been to Vegas one time on a trip, and that's it. And that was to see my grandmother. I live in California, specifically Fresno, so I have no clue what these people are talking about. Now, people are trying to say that I went to a specific high school. I went to Central High in Fresno. I dropped out in the 9th grade before any of this even happened. Before any of these alleged things are even coming out. I'm a dropout. I have a adult education high-set diploma. I dropped out of school, alright? Y'all are not understanding. This literally could not be me because I dropped out. I wasn't even in high school at this time. Now these videos of me or this person that you guys are posting, that's not me. I don't know who that is. That's not me. I'm just gonna say that. I don't know who that person is. I have straight hair, and I have never grown my hair out, past this.
But as time went by, many evidences started to get leaked, including multiple photos of Hunter Montez that were almost identical to Gerbert, and eventually a screenshot of Gerbert asking one of his to lie about being friends, and saying his legal name is Gerbert and not Hunter Montez, and create a fake childhood memory. Eventually, Gerbert would admit that his name is Hunter Montez. However, instead of taking responsibility for lying, he would excuse his mistake by saying he wanted to keep his privacy from the internet, which is another lie, because the only reason Gerbert denied his name wasn't Hunter is because he wanted to run away from the allegations. And when you think Gerbert can't stoop any lower, something worse gets revealed. Gerbert has had a history of being often sexual towards other women. However, you could never guess that one of those women were his one and only mother. Gerbert had told one of his ex-girlfriend about him watching incest mother-son videos. You could say that these could have been just fantasies, and he would not have actual thoughts for his mother, but in this one live, one of his friends mentioned how he's had multiple dreams of his mother in a manner. The individual who used to talk to him also mentioned him purposefully finding incest mother ex-son, stories on 4chan which he would masturbate to, and imagine that it was his mother.
Dreaming about his mother.
What?
He was no, sorry. Listen, real story. One part of that.
As shocking as it is to be fair for Gerbert, there is no solid evidences to back this claim, and neither did Gerbert came forward commenting about it, unlike these next allegation. Gerbert was texting a cosplayer who was 22 years old. They had become friends, and once she asked how old Gerbert was, he said he was 18, which was a lie since Gerbert was a minor. After the cosplayer found out that he was a minor, she had blocked him. In the messages, Gerbert had flirted with her and said, and I quote, "Give me a chance," and also said he wanted to fly out to see her. If that friendship turned into a relationship, she could have been in real legal trouble because of him lying about his age to her. The messages Gerbert sent highly imply he wanted to hook up with her. Gerbert has admitted this incident has happened, but denies he had any intention to flirt or hook up. But the messages Gerbert sent say very differently.
I am 17. When I texted that 15-year-old, I was 17. Okay. Bye. Oh, also, the screenshot of me saying that I'm 18, I did say that. I was just lying about my age, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, not 18. Literally, my birthday is next month, so y'all will see a happy birthday post next month. That's literally the reason I'm not even staying with E Squad or hanging out with those guys at all, is because I'm out of age and I'm a liability, actually. So, alright.
At this point, it is very clear that Gerbert is guilty of most of, if not all of the thing he is accused of, which he tried to deny all of them at first by blatantly lying about his name. And when that didn't work out, he started threatening other creators who were covering the allegations by sending cease and desist, which didn't really work out, but then Gerbert would stoop to a new low by threatening another creator who covered the allegations against him using a fake screenshot he made up of this person talking to a 15 years old.
So Gerbert is making fake screenshots and a fake doc on Semden. He's making all this up because Semden is speaking up against him. Hunter, why? Why are you doing this instead of taking accountability? If you post those, that is gonna backfire and you're getting sued.
And when this didn't work out, Gerbert resorted to guilt-tripping his audience to not unfollow by literally crying on camera.
I want everybody who watches this to know something, and it's I love you all. I'm gonna continue posting, but this is just to everybody that watches me. I don't want you guys to think of me as this horrible person, because I'm not. I love making content. I love my fans. I love every single one of you since the start. I have to move on. I have to continue what I'm doing.
But even this didn't save Gerbert from his long-standing cancellation from TikTok. Before the allegations started back in July of 2025, Gerbert had more than 800,000 followers. But he quickly started losing them, and now he only has 400,000 followers, losing half of his audience. And a creator who once saw a quick rise and gained hundreds of thousands of devoted fans has now vanished completely, leaving a disgraced mark on the internet.
Where's your phone?
It's in my pocket.
In your pocket.
With a McChicken, because like literally, I'm about to use it as a toy, and I'm gonna upload it on my channel. And today I'm gonna be telling you guys how I caught chlamydia and gonorrhea.
The internet has made plenty of people famous for the wrong reasons, but few have built a whole brand on being unbothered by their own train wreck of a life. That is the story of Lil Mar, an internet personality better known online as a Lil Mar. In the world of clout chasing, people will do almost anything to stay relevant, but Lil Mar took that idea and ran it straight into a wall, more than once. This is not just some guy who posts cringe content for laughs. This is someone who built an entire online identity out of reckless behavior, public embarrassment, and a total lack of self-awareness. People online have called him a meme, a clout chaser, and a walking red flag, and honestly, all three fit pretty well. But those labels do not fully capture the scope of what Lil Mar actually represents, because behind the jokes and the viral videos is a paper trail that tells a far more serious story. This is the timeline of one of the strangest and most troubling characters the internet has ever produced. Lamar Cruz, better known online as Lil Mar, did not stumble into internet notoriety by accident. He chased it deliberately and without shame from the moment he figured out that doing something outrageous on camera was a faster path to attention than actually building a skill. His first real moment of viral fame came in the summer of 2017 when he filmed himself paying $60 to lose his virginity to a worker, posted it online, and then acted like the rest of the world was the problem for not doing the same thing.
Y'all can't just go to a motherfucking ATM, take $60 out your motherfucking bank account to spend on anything, let alone. Y'all need to shut the fuck up. Woo! I did it! I lost my virginity!
That one clip set the tone for everything that would follow because it revealed not just a person willing to do embarrassing things for attention. It revealed someone who genuinely believed that other people's disgust was proof that he was winning. The response he got from that video told him everything he needed to know about the internet. People were horrified, people were laughing, people were sharing it everywhere, and to Lil Mar. All of that looked exactly the same. Attention was attention, and he had figured out how to get it. And if that was not enough of an introduction, his second major viral moment removed all doubt about what kind of person Lil Mar was going to be online. A video surfaced of him being intimate with a McChicken sandwich and then eating it on camera. And instead of disappearing from the internet the way any reasonable person would, he described the experience as better than any female or male he had ever been with.
If you want to watch it, click the link up there. Or not, it's not a link, but that's the name of it. Just type that in on, and you know, you can go watch me have with a beautiful McChicken. That was so amazing. That was better than any female or male that I've been with, I swear to God.
The McChicken video spread across Twitter faster than almost anything else he had done, and people sent it to their friends the way that people share disaster footage, with a kind of horrified fascination that made it impossible to look away. What made it worse was that Lil Mar did not seem to register the disgust as a bad thing. To him, any reaction was the right reaction, as long as people were talking. The video became so infamous that people who had never heard of Lil Mar before suddenly knew exactly who he was. That kind of viral moment usually ends a normal person's social life, but for Lil Mar, it was just the beginning, and it cemented a personal philosophy that would define everything he did afterward. Shame is only a problem if you feel it. Running parallel to his growing meme status was Lil Mar's other identity, rapper, or at least someone who called himself one.
I'm getting money, now she acting funny. I'm getting money, now she acting funny. I'm getting money, now she says she want me. I think it's cause these bands she see me flaunting. I'm getting money, now she acting funny. I'm getting money, now she acting funny.
From the very beginning, his music career existed mostly as a vehicle for attention rather than any genuine creative ambition. His songs, titles like Do the Mar, Silly Head, and Shrug It Off, went viral not because people liked them, but because people found them genuinely, almost impressively bad. People online started doing dances to his songs, but the joke was always pointed at him rather than with him, and Lil Mar never once seemed to pick up on the difference. He kept dropping new content, treating the mockery like real support, and behaving like a man on the verge of a breakthrough that was never actually coming. That confidence, completely untethered from any actual evidence of success, would become one of his most consistent personality traits. It carried him through rejection after rejection without ever producing any visible self-reflection. His decision to audition for American Idol in 2019 is perhaps the clearest example of this gap between his self-image and reality. He walked in like someone who expected a standing ovation, and walked out without making it past the very first round. What is worth noting about that American Idol audition is not just the rejection, it is who he brought with him, his best friend Randall Huff, a name that will come up again in the most serious part of the story, and not in a good way. Around the same time his music was circulating as a joke, Lil Mar started keeping a detailed written list of every person he had been intimate with. He tracked names, dates, locations, race, and in several entries, age. He talked about the list constantly. He treated every new addition like a trophy, referencing it in videos, mentioning it in responses to criticism, and at one point directly stating after abandoning a vulnerable woman in a strange city that his body count was at 31, and that was all that mattered. The list was not private. It was something he voluntarily shared, which meant that when people started looking at it closely, what they found was not just embarrassing, it was alarming. According to the list he posted himself, a significant number of entries included individuals listed as some of them appearing more than once. It takes a specific kind of detachment from reality to post that kind of document publicly, and not anticipate the reaction it would generate. But that detachment was never something Lil Mar lacked. He genuinely seemed to believe that the list made him look good, so he released a song on it.
Fuck on that bitch, raise a body count. I fuck on that bitch, raise a body count. Fuck on that bitch, raise a body count. I'm fucking that bitch.
His obsession with the list also made him an easy target for anyone who wanted to see just how far he would go. People catfished him repeatedly, and he showed up every single time, because the possibility of adding another name to the list apparently outweighed any instinct toward caution or basic common sense. In one catfishing incident, Mar drove over an hour to meet a girl who told him up front upon arrival that she was only there because he was a meme, and that nothing was going to happen. His response was to get a kiss on the cheek. That clip alone says everything about Lil Mar's relationship with reality. He drove an hour, got played for a content piece, and walked away believing he'd still come out ahead, because the interaction had happened at all. That same pattern of showing up without asking questions, without thinking through consequences, and without considering who he was actually dealing with, would eventually be used against him in ways that went far beyond a prank, and the list he was so proud of would end up being one of the most damning pieces of evidence against his character. If there was one thing Lil Mar never learned across his entire online career, it was the concept of keeping things private. In a video that surprised even his most dedicated followers, he sat down in front of a camera and announced that he had contracted both chlamydia and gonorrhea, then spent nearly 15 minutes explaining exactly how it happened, who he blamed, and why nobody should feel embarrassed about it.
Chlamydia and gonorrhea. Now, a lot of you guys already know about this. I posted on Instagram, and at first I was very furious because, you know, I felt like the girl did it to me on purpose. I'll explain all of that in a minute. I'm going to give you guys the full story, but I'm also going to be telling you guys why I'm actually not ashamed to be, like, sharing this. I'm going to, like, explain how it's actually, like, how I flipped it around and I'm making it a motivational thing now, because, like, it's really nothing to be embarrassed of, and I'll, like, get into detail on all.
He framed the whole thing as a motivational message, introducing himself in the video as a motivational speaker and saying directly that somebody needed to spread awareness about this, and that he was glad it could be him. That framing tells you everything about how Lil Mar processes consequences. Where most people would treat a health scare as a private matter, he saw a content opportunity and a chance to rebrand embarrassment as inspiration.
So common in America and all over the world, like, it's so easy to catch them. I just don't understand, like, that, and I don't, like, I feel like I'm helping people out, you know, because there's a lot of people who've actually came forward to me, either that knew somebody who went through the same thing, or they personally had those STDs, and they were telling me, like, it's not even a big deal, they're easily curable, bro, like, just take your antibiotics, you'll be fine. It's really not something, and I just want to let you guys know that and understand where I'm coming from and why I'm so public about this. Like I said, I'm a motivational speaker. It's literally in my Instagram bio. That's what I do.
What made their video especially revealing was not the health disclosure itself, but the detail he chose to include around it. He described the circumstance of how the infection occurred in full detail, named the platform where he met the woman, referenced a video he had already posted of their encounter, and explained at length why he had chosen not to use protection. None of that context was necessary for the awareness message he claimed to be making. All of it was consistent with someone who had spent years treating his personal life as a public performance, and who genuinely could not tell the difference between the two. If the McChicken video was the moment people wrote Lil Mar off as a strange internet curiosity, the homeless woman incident was the moment people stopped laughing. The basic facts are these. Lil Mar encountered a homeless woman, promised her housing in exchange for drove her across state lines after getting what he wanted, pulled up to an abandoned house, told her he had left his keys in the car, and drove away without her. He left a vulnerable woman stranded in an unfamiliar city with no phone and no way to get back to where she had come from. He posted about it online, not to apologize, to document.
Drive, Mark, drive. Drive. Here we go. Woo! I thought she was gonna be able to live with me. Stupid, dumb.
That is not dark humor. That is someone who used another person's desperation as a prop and then mocked her for believing him. His response when people pushed back on this was one of the most revealing things he has ever said publicly. He acknowledged leaving a homeless woman, stranded in an unfamiliar state without a phone, and then followed that by saying he did not leave her by herself.
I didn't know, like, I didn't have, like, a plan, really. I just decided to take her and leave her at this house, which was a little bit, I'll admit, but the thing is, the house that I left her at, it wasn't actually, like, an abandoned... It was an abandoned house, but it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. Like, it was literally in the same neighborhood that my friend Huff lives in, and I live 4 minutes away from Huff, so...
That sentence is not a slip of the tongue or a bad joke that landed wrong. It is a direct statement of priorities from someone who had just described leaving a human being in an abandoned house, and wanted to make sure everyone understood that the number on his list was more important than her safety. Alongside everything else, Lil Mar built a side reputation as someone who's treated public roads like a personal racetrack, filming himself weaving through highway traffic at well over 100 miles per hour, one hand on the wheel and the other on the camera. His defense of this behavior was a masterclass in circular reasoning that he seemed genuinely proud of. He had been driving for 5 years, he had never crashed, and therefore he was not dangerous.
A lot of y'all think that I drive recklessly, but in my opinion, I don't. I'm safe. I've never crashed before, so there's nothing much to that story. But anyways...
He described his normal cruising speed as 100 miles per hour and mentioned going as fast as 135, framing it as unremarkable because other people on Instagram go even faster. The logic being, other people do dangerous things online, therefore his dangerous thing is fine. What that argument completely ignores is that the danger of reckless driving is not just to the driver, it is to every other person sharing that road at that moment, none of whom agreed to be part of his content, and none of whom would have any warning before a vehicle traveling at dangerous speed appeared in their blind spot. There's a specific kind of selfishness in filming reckless driving content that goes beyond personal recklessness. When you drive dangerously for views, you are forcing everyone around you onto a set they did not sign up for. Lil Mar never acknowledged that once across all the videos he posted of himself doing it. To show how unapologetic he was, he posted a video where he ran from police after being caught for going beyond the speed limit. In this video, he endangered people's lives and almost damaged their properties in the high-speed chase.
Really trying to get it up higher. I was trying to, like, probably reach like 115 at the least. Like, I think the speed limit is, yeah, it's 45. I just saw on the sign, but basically I ended up getting it up to like 90, and unfortunately there was a cop. I'll zoom in. It was like right here at that corner. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but that was a cop. And like at that point, I realized, like, I mean, there was no point in slowing down. But basically, he turned on the same direction I was going. He did not have his lights on, so I don't think he was actually trying to pull me over. But I just got so nervous, and I just I almost wrecked several, like, I almost ran into that car that was backing up just now, as you guys saw, and then I almost dropped my bike right there. I was all over the road. I started blowing stop signs.
At the same time, he was building a reputation for recklessness. Lil Mar was also building a parallel reputation as someone who lied about his finances constantly, transparently, and without apparent concern for whether anyone believed him. He introduced new cars on camera with the same announcement format every time. I just bought a brand new, followed by whatever vehicle he was currently renting. Cadillac, a Jeep, a Ford Escape, a Dodge Durango, a BMW. Each one presented as proof of his success. Each one a rental that he eventually had to give back. He even managed to get himself banned from at least one car rental company after crashing a vehicle, which only pushed him to rent from other companies to keep the flex going. That detail alone tells you everything you need to know about the ratio of effort to actual achievement in Lil Mar's life. He was spending real money and real effort to maintain the illusion of wealth he did not have.
It's official. I just got the call today that my Tesla's finally ready. You guys remember when I ordered this Tesla months ago, man? I've been waiting for this car since March. This is the Model 3. I did end up upgrading to the red last second, so that's why in my original order it was black, but this one is red. I did upgrade to the red since I got a blue car, you know.
His most famous car, a Corvette wrapped in a Galaxy print that looked, as one commentator put it, like a 12-year-old's GTA 5 wishlist, became a meme of its own. The wrap was so recognizable that strangers could spot him from a distance, which managed to become its own form of public humiliation for someone who claimed to be embarrassed by nothing. He eventually sold the Corvette in 2024, but for years it functioned as the physical centerpiece of his entire brand, the proof in his mind that he had made it. He would reference it constantly, show it off at every opportunity, and treat anyone who did not seem sufficiently impressed as simply too slow to understand his level.
I'm actually a truck driver. Yep, this right here, this is what a Class A CDL gets you. It gets you Corvettes, you know what I mean? It's a very rewarding career. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a professional truck driver. And as you can see, my hard work paid off.
His dog, Lucky, fared about as well as most things in Lil Mar's orbit, and generally treating the dog as a visual prop for content rather than a living creature with needs of its own. One video posted in October 2022 showed him acknowledging that Lucky had been in the truck all day while he was out with family, on a day when temperatures were reaching uncomfortable highs. He said it casually, like it was a logistical detail rather than a welfare concern. People in the comments noticed that the Corvette seemed to receive more consistent care and attention than Lucky did, which, considering everything else documented about how Lil Mar treats living things in his orbit, was not particularly surprising by that point in the story. Everything covered so far, the memes, the list, the driving, the homeless woman, the fake flexing, all of it was building toward the event that turned Lil Mar from a cringy internet curiosity into something far more serious and far harder to dismiss as entertainment. On October 22nd, 2019, Lamar Cruz and his best friend, Randall Huff, were arrested and charged with in a Walmart parking lot. The two had arranged the meeting online. One of the girl's friends had originally been included in the plan and backed out, unknowingly removing herself from the situation. After the victim spotted the police officers inside the Walmart and informed them of what had happened. Cruz and Huff were arrested on the spot. What happened next in the legal system is the part of this story that continues to generate the most anger even years later. Despite being 19 years old, a legal adult, Lamar Cruz was charged under the South Carolina Youthful Offenders Act, a provision that significantly reduced the weight of his sentencing. He served 4 months. His lawyers argued in mitigation that he had no prior convictions on record and that he was in the process of obtaining a commercial truck driving license, as if professional ambition was a relevant factor in determining the consequences for what had been done to a victim, who did not get to use her own future plans as a mitigating argument. His co-defendant, Randall Huff, received a longer sentence, and rumors circulated online that the disparity was because Mar had cooperated with prosecutors. Mar himself has never confirmed this, but he did post multiple videos cutting Huff off and distancing himself after his release, which did not exactly discourage the speculation. When he came out of jail, Lil Mar treated his release the way he treated everything, as content. He posted a video announcing his return and showed off a rental car. He had served 4 months for one of the most serious crimes a person can commit, and his response was to announce that there were no consequences capable of slowing him down. He also, almost immediately after release, made a video describing what jail had been like, calling it lame, and saying it was childish and watered down, and that the worst part of the experience was his cellmate farting. He said he would rather have been housed with longer-term prisoners because they were more mature. He was describing a conviction as an inconvenience that had been insufficiently challenging. The 2019 arrest shocked some people who had only known Lil Mar through the memes, but for anyone who had been paying attention to the full scope of his online activity, it did not come out of nowhere. The evidence had been accumulating in public for years, visible to anyone who cared to look past the jokes. He had also made public posts claiming to have gotten pregnant, then framed the whole thing as a rumor he had started himself to go viral. But even in that framing, the story does not get better. He was describing deliberately spreading rumors about himself involving a child to gain followers, and treating that as a satisfactory explanation. The FBI had contacted him on 2 separate occasions before the 2019 arrest. The first time was after he flashed a weapon on a Snapchat story and someone reported him for it. The second time was after he posted explicit content involving on his Instagram page. His response to the agents who visited him the second time was that it was acceptable, because he was 17 at the time and not yet legally an adult. He had also posted publicly on social media about his attraction to in a way that many people clocked as far too specific and too consistent to be ironic or performative. Comments about waiting for specific young public figures to turn 18, questions about the ages of young celebrities, public posts that read less like dark humor and more like someone who genuinely did not understand, or did not care, that this was not acceptable behavior to broadcast. He had been catfished multiple times by people posing as and he showed up to those meetings. The most documented of these involved someone posing as a 17-year-old girl who arranged to meet him at a park. Mar arrived in his Galaxy Corvette, making it impossible to deny that it was him. He then took footage from that sting and turned it into merchandise on his eBay account, selling it under the caption, "Can I hold your hand?" As if getting caught attempting to meet a teenager was a brand opportunity. None of this taken individually could be dismissed as a coincidence or immaturity. Taken together, it forms a documented record of someone for whom the safety and protection of was simply not a factor in any decision he made, before or after a criminal conviction. After his release, Lil Mar made what he presented as a fresh start. He had his CDL, his commercial truck driving license, which he had obtained before going to prison. He got baptized on a beach in a ceremony he posted about online. He started making truck stop cooking videos and documenting long-haul driving routes. On the surface, it looked like someone genuinely attempting to build a different kind of life. The trucking community on TikTok had a different view of the situation. Once other truckers figured out who he was, which did not take long because he kept posting his face alongside his recognizable Corvette and announcing himself loudly everywhere, the backlash was swift and consistent. He drove a truck into a ditch. He could not identify the difference between a gravel road and a ramp. He ran his vehicle into situations that other truckers described as basic errors that someone with his license should not be making. Each of these incidents generated fresh criticism from a community that had no interest in giving him the benefit of the doubt. One trucker in particular, going by the name Slow Walker, made it his consistent mission to ensure that no one in the trucking community forgot what Lil Mar had been convicted of. He called him out, video after video, brought up the 2019 case by name and date, and served as a persistent voice for accountability in a community that had no structural reason to care about Lil Mar's internet history but cared anyway. Lil Mar responded to the trucking beef the way he responds to everything, by continuing to post, ignoring the substance of the criticism entirely, and finding new ways to flex material he did not own. The born-again Christian phase that briefly appeared after his release faded within months, replaced by the same content and the same attitude that had defined his presence online from the very beginning. To this day, people bring up his past in the comments of his videos, no matter how unrelated the topic. He has tried the trucker reset, the religious reset, the wholesome cooking content reset, and none of it has managed to wash away his reputation, because the internet has a longer memory than Lil Mar seems to have counted on. Every time it looked like the conversation might move on, Lil Mar found a way to remind people why they were talking about him in the first place. One of the things that makes Lil Mar genuinely unusual among internet personalities is how little he has changed up across more than a decade of public documentation. Most people who go through a criminal conviction, a public shaming, and sustain community backlash at least perform some version of growth for the audience. Lil Mar did not bother with even the performance, at least not for long. After his release from prison, he was still posting comments about the ages of girls he found attractive online. He was still showing up to meet strangers without any apparent vetting process. He was still operating from the same internal rulebook that had produced a criminal conviction and 4 months in prison. He kept publicly posting statements like, "My standards aren't high, she just has to be young," and statements that remained up and visible on active accounts throughout the period when multiple creators were compiling documented evidence of his behavior and posting it for audiences of hundreds of thousands of people. There is also the case of Sarah, a detail that surfaced when Mar accidentally revealed it himself. A DM exchange he posted to his own Instagram story showed a girl named Sarah asking to reconnect with him. She mentioned that she was currently 19 years old. Mar's response in the exchange placed their original relationship at a time when he was 21, which would have made her 16 at the time they were together. There were photographs of them in bed together. There were photographs of them drinking together. He had been out of prison for approximately a year and a half, following a conviction involving a when this relationship was active. The legal system, for its part, did not intervene. The age of consent in South Carolina is 16, and Lil Mar has referenced this specific fact in public more than once, in a context that makes it clear the state's consent laws have not been an incidental detail in his life, but something he has been aware of and apparently relied upon. Rebranding only works when the behavior behind it has actually changed. In Lil Mar's case, the content itself contradicted the narrative he was trying to build every single time, because the pattern of behavior that defined him was not something he was trying to change. It was something he was trying to get people to stop talking about, which is a very different project. The Canada story is the kind of thing that almost defies summary, not because it is complicated, but because it is almost too perfectly illustrative of who Lil Mar is to feel like it could be real. At some point, while living in Seattle, Lil Mar decided that Canada, approximately 3.5 hours away, would make for an interesting trip. He obtained a passport, which takes meaningful time and effort. He booked a hotel room listed for 2 adults. He arranged a rental car. He spent weeks posting and sharing stories expressing excitement about the upcoming trip. People who knew his history started making the obvious calculation about why a person with a documented pattern of targeting might be enthusiastically planning a short trip to a country where the age of consent is 16. At the Canadian border, agents ran a standard background check, found his first-degree and battery conviction, handcuffed him, and refused him entry into the country. He was sent back. He posted about the experience, describing how they treated him like a criminal immediately he entered the country. Yes, they treated him like someone with a criminal record because he has a criminal record. That was the complaint. He then claimed, days after posting his outrage, that the entire trip had been a prank, that he had not really been going to Canada with any bad intentions, that spending hundreds of dollars on a hotel, a passport, and a rental car, combined with weeks of excited pre-trip content, was all part of an elaborate joke designed to fool his haters. The Canada story is, in miniature, the entire Lil Mar experience compressed into one incident, a series of choices that only fully make sense given everything else we know about him, followed by a denial that does not hold up under any scrutiny, followed by him reframing the outcome as something that actually made him look clever. The only country that actually stopped him, and he tried to spin it as a prank he had been running all along. Lil Mar is still online, still posting, still trucking, still bragging, still flexing, still operating with the same fundamental certainty that he is ahead of everyone who has ever doubted him. Despite over a decade of documented evidence that points in a different direction, he spent a weekend at Trump Towers in Las Vegas and posted about it extensively, explaining that he was there specifically to support Donald Trump financially by spending money at his hotel, apparently unaware that there are more direct ways to make a political donation. He treated the trip as a flex, the same way he has treated every car rental and every fast food meal on the road, like proof that he is living a life other people can only aspire to.
I'm out here at Trump Towers, eating good, eating lavish. You know what I'm saying? Got a beautiful view. Hold on, let me flip the camera. Got a beautiful view right there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not living like this, right, Lucky? Lucky. Tell them they not eating. They not living like this. They not eating like this. They not living like this. This just one of the rooms, by the way. This is one of the rooms. This the living room. I got a whole apartment, matter of fact.
His dog Lucky eventually died, possibly in part due to conditions documented across his own posted content. He moved on from that the same way he moves on from everything, by continuing to post, and by eventually mentioning it as a side note and content about something else. His comment sections remain full of the number 14. In videos where he talks about where he sees himself in 10 years, people respond with comments such as, "What about in 14 years?" and "Buddy, you were just trying to make it to cell number 14. In videos where he talks about his Corvette, people respond by referencing the number. In cooking videos and trucking videos and flex videos, the number follows him because the people leaving those comments have not forgotten what it refers to and are not planning to. There is reportedly a girlfriend now who is unaware of his history. That detail, more than anything else in this story, captures the ongoing risk that Lil Mar represents because the behavior has never stopped, the pattern has never changed, and the people closest to him in his daily life may not know what the rest of the internet has spent years documenting. At this point, the internet has essentially turned him into a running joke that refuses to end, and Lil Mar seems genuinely fine with that, because to him, a running joke is still attention, and attention is all that has ever mattered. Lamar Cruz built his entire online presence on the idea that no consequence was real, no reputation was permanent, permanent, and no amount of public evidence against him was enough to make him behave differently. He has been arrested, convicted, memmed, catfished, banned from a country, rejected by an entire professional community, and documented in exhaustive detail by multiple independent creators, and he has responded to all of it with the same energy, a catchphrase, a rental car he claims to own, and the unshakable belief that there is simply no stopping Lil Mar. The internet turned him into a lolcow, and that was not surprising. He is not a tragic figure. He is not someone who made one catastrophic mistake and has been unfairly defined by it ever since. He is someone who has made the same category of decisions repeatedly, across more than a decade, in public, and treated every piece of documented evidence against him as either a joke he was in on or a conspiracy assembled by people who could not handle his greatness. The number 14 follows Lil Mar into every comment section he opens, on every platform he uses, regardless of what the video is about, and it will keep following him because unlike Lil Mar, the internet actually does remember, and sometimes that is the only accountability on offer.